All right, week 3. Welcome. This week, going to be increased sets. I think I mentioned it a couple days ago. The previous 2 weeks, we've done mostly 4 sets for every exercise. This week is going to be mostly 6 sets for each exercise. Today is chest and back. Most of the same, actually all of the same exercises that we've been doing. Aside from incline bench press, you're going to move the bench up a little bit higher than it was last week. First week we did a low incline. Last week, medium incline. Now we're doing a high incline. All right. So we'll get into that shortly. I'm already stretched out. So if you want to stretch out while I'm talking about the baseball picks. Yesterday, 5-4. Another winning day. That's 5 straight winning days. 3-0 2 days, 2-1 2 days, 5-4 yesterday. And I have 9 more picks today. 2 of the games are starting shortly. It's 12:30. So you probably, if you're following these picks, not going to be able to get those in. Maybe you can live bet it. By the time I post it, I doubt it though. But you will be able to get tonight's picks in. But like I said, when I start doing lives, which I think I'm going to start doing lives soon. Even if nobody's watching, I'm going to do some lives and, see how it goes. I just decided that yesterday. But baseball picks for today. Miami, Washington, over 8.5. White Sox are playing the Twins. That's also over 8.5. San Diego and Philadelphia over 7.5. Kansas City, Cincinnati over 8.5. Toronto and the Braves over 8.5. San Francisco Giants, Milwaukee Brewers under 7.5. Oakland and Chicago over 8.5. Pittsburgh and Houston over 7.5. And Colorado Angels under this time 8.5. All right. No chase system plays for today as of now. A new chase system play will be starting on Friday. We could also have one tomorrow, depending on how the games play out today, but we definitely will have one for Friday. All right. Soccer is pretty much non-existent at the moment. Just not a lot of games. It's all like friendlies, and friendlies. Not a lot of history, so not a lot for me to look at. So soccer is kind of on pause for me at the moment. All right. So like I said, I'm stretched out, ready to go. First exercise, bench press. Going to be 6 sets of 5 reps. All right. So when I'm doing the 6 sets of 5, I normally treat the first set as kind of a warm-up set. All right. So I'm going to start at 135 and then gradually work my way up. All right, rock and roll. Not sure if I mentioned it, but I did also play a tennis match, which I have Auger Aliasami. I think that's how you say his name. He's tied. It's the French Open. It's one set apiece. And he just got broke, so he's down 4-3 in the third set. So he won the first set and then was up a break in the second set. And he's kind of been getting torched ever since. But long way to go. All right. If this French Open has been anything, it's been completely unpredictable. My brother has told me that there's been like so many instances where there's been so many matches where guys were minus 10,000 at one point, including Sinner. Remember that? Like in the second round, I think it was. He was probably minus 10 million. But, so you're never out of it in this year's French Open. So, set number 2. I'm going to bump it up 165. My daughter had her it was the first week of her competition last night. She did awesome. It was the first time I was like kind of like nervous about her performing because there's 31 contestants and a lot of them are really talented. And I told you she's 10 years old. She's the second youngest. There's a 9-year-old and then who's almost 10. And then she's 10. And, and there's a bunch of teenagers. Like there was one kid, he was 18 years old. And she killed it. And so they had the judges. It was so well done. It was so professional. And the judges were like, they had some solid resumes. The one judge was the actual woman in that song by Rob Bass, It Takes Two. She was It takes two to make a thing go right. That was her voice. And so she was the one who actually commented on Peyton's singing, and she gave her nothing but, positive. She gave her a glowing review, I guess. So, all right, I'm going to bump up to 185 here. I'm gonna stay there for one more set. That was set number 3, because I said we got 3 more sets here, and that was feeling pretty good. Yeah, so she did good, and I was saying there's a lot of quality, a lot of talented girls, and she's gonna have to next week. She's gonna have to crush it. If next week they do cuts, so there was 31, and then next week they cut 16, so there'll be 15 left after next week. She's gonna have to give her best performance. But she'll do it. I talk to her about this stuff all the time. Same thing, I take a minute or two between sets on this week. Last week was 2 to 3 minutes. So even though we're doing more sets, cut back the rest periods between sets, it normally averages out to be the same amount of time you're spending in the gym. So unless you're making these videos and talking in between the sets. All right, next one. All right, so that was 185 again. Take a look back. I know I wasn't doing... Yeah, I did. I just stayed at 185 the whole time, the first time through. So... I'm going to bump this next set up to 195 and try and beast out the last 2 sets of 195. Ali Sami down 5-3. He just had a lot of break opportunities and one. Said 1, 2, 3 right there. And then also had he's had 1, 4, 7 break opportunities this set. And Kabali, who he's playing, has 1. And Kabali's 1 for 1. And Ali Asami's 0 for 7 in break opportunities. That just, I mean, all that says to me is that it's just a matter of time. The opportunities are there. It's just a matter of time. I mean, Kabali's not going to continue saving all these break points. And so Ali Asami, I'm confident he's going to come back and win this. I don't know what he would be right now if you took him. Probably at least plus 300. Give it another 30 seconds. And I'll beast this last set. Yeah, he's Ali Asami is 40 love right now and serving. He's just, I mean, he's torching his serve this set. It was just that one game. All right, here we go, last one. Whew. Probably go for 205 when we get to this workout again later in the week. But, all right, so next we have incline bench press. This is, I don't really have anything to compare this to. So I'm just gonna, I'll probably start out with 95 here. Because as I said, most people, when you raise the bench, you know, from a flat to an incline, most people can do more weight on a flat bench. I have met exceptions to that rule though. So the higher you raise the incline, the less weight you're going to be able to do normally. All right, so I'm going to start off at 95 here on this high incline. See how that feels, and then gradually increase. This is what your high incline will look like. All right.
Game set.
All right, so Kabali won that set, so Eliasami's gonna have to win the last two. He wants to stay in the French Open. So that was easy. I'm going to bump that up to 115. But something I want to talk about in a minute that's going to, once again, show you how everything is just a reflection. Your reality is just a reflection of your internal and your identity. bump that up again. But so Sunday night, after my niece's graduation, after I came down here and worked out for the second time, my wife and I, after sitting on the deck, we were upstairs, and I think we were getting ready. Maybe we were watching Deli Boys or getting ready to watch it. And my wife starts showing me these pictures. We used to have beer pong tournaments at our house, at our old house. And, you know, my brothers, I have two younger brothers, they would invite their friends. Like, I have one who's 16 years younger and one who's 8 years younger. So at the time we had these beer pong tournaments, I was in my late 30s, early 40s. They were all in their 20s and 30s. So we would get like a pretty big group of people and have these tournaments. And at the end of every tournament, maybe it was at the beginning, but we would take, I think it was at the end, we would take like a group photo. And so we were looking at these group photos over the years, and you know, you see people that you kind of like forgot about they even exist. And so we're looking, and I was really close with this kid. I grew up with him, and we were friends like into, even up to, I guess, like 10 years ago. And something happened, whatever, and so we stopped talking. And then so I saw him in the photo, and I was like, I gotta hit him up. I haven't talked to him in years. We haven't texted, like, no text, no nothing. I haven't been on Facebook, haven't talked to him in years. And I said, all as I said, when I saw his picture, I was like, I got to get in touch with him. The very next day before my birthday, he sends me a text saying, happy almost birthday. Basically, I was thinking of you, wanted to see how you've been doing. And, the last couple of days we've caught up a little bit, and he's talking to me about this channel. He's like giving me ideas for, things I could implement. And so, I mean, that doesn't just happen like that. This is a reflection. All right, set number 3. Going 135 here. All right, that was Ali Asami. Held serve. First game of the fourth set. I'm going to bump that up again. I'm going to go to 145 this time. I'm really starting to feel it there. I haven't done these high inclines. And I had, I guess, looked at this routine before. So even when I had like that, I started posting that picture as the thumbnail. That was when the picture on the left is I was 32, and you could see how I was in good shape, but I was thin, I was skinny. And then from 32 to 41, I learned how to build muscle, like muscle mass, in terms of, bulking and cutting and that kind of stuff. And, and then I started doing this program as well. And you could see there's just a major difference in size. And what happens to most people? How many people do you see go from 32 to 41 and not only improve on their physique from 32 to 41, but like light years beyond where they were at 32? And so I'm going to do the same thing here, maybe not light years, because I don't know. Like I said, that body, that to me, that's a perfect body. To you, maybe not, but to me, that's perfect. I don't know how I can improve on that, but I will at least be there again. And if nothing else, I will take that picture from when I was 41 and now I'm going to be 49 and still looking the same, at least the same. What would you say? Probably less than 5% people do that. Kabali, held serve. 1-1. But maybe that's how I will have a better body now. I'm mixing up the inclines and paying attention to every single detail in this program. The reason I started my last rant was when I did this program, I don't know if somebody just didn't have all the information, whatever I was watching, or the PDF that, I was taking the workout from didn't have all the information. But now I do, and I'm being thorough with it because I want to make sure I'm getting it right, because that's who I am now. I used to, even though I was getting results physically, I used to kind of half-ass stuff sometimes. Just, but now there's none of that. And the weak-minded person, in terms of what I just said and talking about my body and physique, and the weak-minded person will be like, this fucking guy talking about himself, and turn this off. But the people who are going to get results from this channel and who know who they are will realize why I said what I just said and the intent behind it is to, proof is in the pudding. Like, why can't you do what I'm doing? Why can't you get better with age, physically? A lot of people do it mentally. They just get wiser kind of by default. But you rarely see somebody physically just continue to get better and better. So I'm doing it here, and I'm talking about it. And there's no excuses. It's your reality. There's only excuses if you see that as your truth. When you make an excuse is a reason that somebody else is looking at your reason for not doing something as a reason that they would never have for themselves. And so they call it an excuse. So if somebody else did or is able to do what you were supposed to do and has the same reason, but they did it and you didn't, then that's an excuse. But you see it as valid because you've made it your truth. You believe in that excuse. All right, that felt pretty good. So I'm going to stay at 145 for a baseball game just starting. Marlins and Nationals. Got the over in that game. But I'm going to stay at 145 here for one more set. See how I feel after this. I think I said Ali Sami held, so he's up 2-1. And it's 30-15 Kabali here. But back to, I feel like I'm all over the place today, but it's good. I'm doing exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to do, thinking exactly how I need to think. And so we go back to yesterday's video, and while I was, making points in there, and towards the end, I dropped that bomb, claim it, and let go. The point I really wanted to make in that video is that we don't know why we do what we do. If what I was just saying about my body and stuff, and those, even if somebody, you're only going to be here if you are supposed to be here. And so when I say claim and let go, is like, I claim that I'm the best fucking sports bettor on this planet. And then I let it go. I already claimed it. So now it's just, okay, whatever ideas come to me, whatever thoughts come to me, I already claimed it. So I just flow with those ideas and thoughts, and whether they win or lose, that's all I can do. That's all we can ever do. Or we can do it the other way, in terms of resisting, and then, doubting and fearing and getting pissed off because it didn't work out, or it's not happening as fast as you want it to. But I guess my point is there's a stream that's flowing. Imagine the stream flowing when you're in the lazy river at a water park and you are in a float. You can sit in the float and just let the lazy river carry you all around the pool, and you don't have to do shit. You just lay on that float. Kids will come by, get in your way and stuff and splash water on you. But you don't have to worry about moving forward. The river's just going to carry you. And so claiming it and letting go is like being in the lazy river and just floating. Your other option is to try and swim in the other direction. The lazy river, probably not the best analogy now that we're talking about the lazy river, because if you're in an actual river and you're trying to paddle upstream, there's a ton of resistance there. You feel like you're moving in the other direction, but ultimately the river is still pushing you this way. And so if you claim it and then you let go, life is a lot more easier and it's a lot more comfortable, and you just use that phrase that I just talked about and I mentioned yesterday. Like, I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to do, thinking exactly what I need to think. And at this moment, I could follow these thoughts that are coming in saying, maybe you're rambling too much, maybe you're all over the place, but I know I'm the motherfucking man. And this will make sense to whoever it needs to make sense to. Last set, I'm going to bump it to 165. I'm the strongest motherfucker. Got to get the Hulk for this one. I have 4. 145 was going to be too easy. So sometimes that'll happen. All good. Later in the week, I'll get 5. All right, Ali Asami's got to fight off a break point here. 30-40. All right, and so we got flies and pullovers. 6 sets of 5. See what happens here. A long point. Break Kabali. He's hot. He's got, looks like he owns Ali Asami. He beat him twice before. And that's Ali Asami's. Turns it around. But flies and pullovers, 6 sets of 5. I'm gonna stick at the, since I have 35 pounds, I'm gonna do 15 reps again. I did 4 sets of 35 pounds, 15 reps last week. And so since we're doing 6 sets this time, I'm gonna stay at 15 reps. I'm not going to increase the reps. But if you can, you should be doing 6 sets of 5. So flies and pullovers, rock and roll. Thing about making these videos is like some days we all experience these days, but some days you just, for whatever reason, you're just off a little bit. know who I am. And I know I'm not these feelings and emotions and all the stuff I talk about here. But there's still going to be days where you just feel a little off. That things just, for whatever reason, just aren't flowing like they normally do. You're being, maybe you have a day where it's like you have all these triggers that are just popping up. And so when you then have to come on here and you're doing something like this, which I committed to, it's like whether I'm feeling off or not, doesn't matter. I'm still going to come on here. Whether I'm, making sense with what I'm saying or not, I'm still going to be here. Because I committed. And so maybe in a way, that is the old identity trying to ambush me. Is by giving me a day like this, or God, if you want to call it God, that's God trying to see, are you still going to show up if you're not feeling perfect? If, no matter how many times you say, I'm the motherfucking man, I'm a multimillionaire, I'm all these things, you're still not going to feel it today. You're just going to have to know it and still do it anyway, and still be the same identity anyway. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing today. And now I'm like, maybe I should have let off with that, but it's fine. Because again, the people who are still here watching this are the people who are meant to hear this and who are going to really grasp it and understand and internalize it, so that when it happens, or if it happens in your experience, you will be able to pull that and be like, oh, fuck, I remember. John was making a video and I was thinking like, what the fuck is going on with him today? And then he just came out and just said, like, there are going to be days like this. And that's ultimately why I'm doing this. Like I told you, it was just an inspiration. That's the only reason I do anything, is if I'm inspired to do it and it seems exciting. And it has, there's a chance that it could move me forward in terms of the 3D and that changing into more of what I want. All right, step number 2. Just a reminder, make sure you're switching bottom hands on the pullovers. Miami just scored, top of the second, 1-0. And Kabali is just still rolling. All right, set 3. Let's go. Kabali 5-3. So Aliasami serving, needs to hold here, and then it's gonna have to break. It's been done before. I mean, I think something that like kind of it hasn't triggered me, but I think it's kind of like that's maybe why I feel off a little bit, is because the old self is starting to throw, triggers at me from through my wife in my experience. And so like last night after my daughter's performance, it was just weird, like kind of there was a little bit of like bickering like between us, which there hasn't been at all, like since I claimed, the new person that I am. I told you how like, that has just like, it's like back to when we first met. And so it was just like a little bit of weirdness, especially on the car ride home. And then we just kind of like swept it under the rug. And I, when I saw the opportunity, I kind of like, just kind of straightened everything out. And then this morning, my daughter has had a math tutor. And, again, we have coffee together in the morning. So I'm just kind of like waking up and stuff. And she, said something about this math tutor. Like, we're going to have to get Peyton a math tutor over the summer, because she's really smart, but at the same time, she's focused on other things more than school. And so that's the issue. And so, where I explained to you how I was in school, how I just like kind of like was really smart, but when it came time to applying myself, like studying and, learning new things on my own, I just didn't do it. And so I've kind of seen that a little bit in her. And so anyway, I agreed. I said, yeah, we'll definitely get her a math tutor. And then she goes into, I had a good one, but, Peyton said this, and then you like pointing the finger at me again. And this is how, things kind of happened last night. It was like just kind of like a low blow. And this is totally out of character for her, like, especially recently. And so it's almost like the challenge is the challenge now is like, so it's almost like God saying, or the old identity saying, okay, let him like experience this for a couple months, and then we'll switch this up out of nowhere and see how he handles it. Because there was no call for what happened last night, and this morning makes absolutely no sense. Because the last conversation that we both had regarding her tutor was that we agreed that it was time to move on to, and find a different tutor. But then, just out of nowhere, like I said, I've been up for 10 minutes. She goes and like totally out of character, just puts the whole thing on me. Like I made the decision, so I just brought up the fact. I was assertive in that moment, like, wait, the last conversation we had was this. And even that wasn't, sufficient. And so it was a little weird again. And so even though, I'll be perfectly honest, that has kind of caught me off guard for a little bit. Like I felt myself even last night, like going back into those old thoughts. Kabali just won. So going back into those old thoughts for a short period. And then I realized, what it was, and I cleaned it up. Realize everything's just your reflection. And I realized, okay, this is just a challenge. These feelings aren't me. This isn't even coming from her, because she's me. She's reflecting me. Whether it's me now or the old identity, she's reflecting me. So this is something that I need to handle differently than I normally would. And how would I have normally handled last night? I probably wouldn't have talked to her the rest of the night. I probably would have slept in the basement. So that should tell you everything right there, and that should tell God and the old identity everything. But then I get another challenge this morning, and I handled that differently because I wouldn't have been assertive in that moment and, brought up. I would have brought last night into the current morning experience. Have you ever done that? Where you just group everything together, and I would have been like, dude, what the fuck is going on with you? And I would have said, with you, like blamed it on her. And she would have probably been like, what are you talking about? And then we would have went, even though last night was already over, I would have been like, you were like this last night and doing this and acting like this, and now you're fucking acting like this again. Like, what's going on? But instead, I kept this instance that was happening in the present moment, I kept the focus there, which I wouldn't have done. The old identity would never do that, ever. I've never done that in my life. I just group everything together, and now you're fucking being like this. And so it's actually a great day because I had a couple of challenges and I passed both of them. Flying colors. And then the next challenge is just to still make this video and feel a little off than I normally feel. And still do it. Because I said I was going to do it. Set number 4. Something I really wanted to talk about, though, and I just remembered last night, and I've known this for some time. I don't think I've really talked about it because I wasn't really sure how to explain it, but I pretty much lived it last night when I was sleeping, and it was almost like a download of information. And some of you might know this or believe it or at least be open to it, but we're eternal. That goes without saying. But there is no death in our experience like we believe there is. We all live to an old age in our experiences. So I might not live to an old age in your experience, but in my experience, on the timeline, that whatever timeline I choose to experience, I will live to an old age on that or in that timeline. And when we quote unquote die, or when you see somebody quote unquote die, there's not really any pain. It's just a flash. And then it's almost like, the movie Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray, where he's, it's like a dream. It's like where he's, falling and about to hit the ground, and then there's a flash and he wakes up and it's the next morning. That's what it's like for us when we die. It's just a flash and then boom, you wake up. White Sox at Twins starting. I'll talk more about it and after I do this next set. Set number 5. So, the worst experience that you could have is a painful experience. And the best experience that you could have is a comfortable experience. So, it's just, it all comes down to levels of comfort and discomfort. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you, there are extreme levels of discomfort. But, so, I guess another way to explain this is, I've had so many experiences in my life where I kind of looking back on it, I'm just like, dude, that doesn't even, how have I not died by now? Like, when I was a DJ, I used to drink and drive. Not proud of it. This was the old self. It's not me. This is an old version of me. But I would drink and drive almost every single night. Sometimes I would be drinking, we would be playing beer pong, and I'd have car bombs and all kinds of stuff. And I wake up the next morning, kind of like I was talking about yesterday with Anthony Hopkins, and I would have no idea how I got home. Experiences when I was a little kid, like I was climbing up, this 20-foot wall. And I remember like losing my grip and about to fall back, and like something pushed me back up. And I'm sure you have, those experiences in your past where something like that's happened where you really can't explain it, like how you're still here. But that's why. Is because in your experience, you don't die. You will live to an old age. Even if something happened and let's just say I wanted to end it and I jumped off a building, it would be like Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day, where I wouldn't hit the ground, and maybe I wake up and I think that it was a dream, and I wake up with like a different mentality, like, oh shit, man, what am I thinking about? Why am I'm not going to do that? Or you wake up in cold sweats in your bed. I don't know how I know this, but I just know it to be 100%. Last set, flies and pullovers. All right. So now we got chin ups. This is still 4 sets. And bent barbell rows and bent dumbbell rows, still 4 sets. And instead of 8, 6, 4, 2, we go back. White Sox have the bases loaded. Instead of 8, 6, 4, 2, we go back to 12, 10, 8, 6. All right. But first we have chin ups, wide grip chin ups. Remember, chin ups this way. And this time we're going to do 4 sets. Last time I did 4 sets of 11. This time I'll do 4 sets of 12. Just keep bumping it up. So when people say, like, there is no heaven and hell, there's just here, and you can make this either a heaven or a hell. And there have been times in my life where I made it both. But now we're back to, did I really make it both? Was it me? Did I, before I came here, determine or decide that I was going to grow up in the environment that I grew up in? And so I would have these thoughts and feelings, and the White Sox just scored, and opinions, and have this certain identity until I was, maybe I decided that, until I'm almost 49. Let me go 48 and 3/4 years trying to figure this shit out. And then once I figure it out, challenge me for the next 6 months or 3 months or whatever. It just makes you, I mean, I know now, but how did I get to this knowing? That's what I've been trying to say, and I still don't know if it makes any sense when I'm saying it. Like, I know where I am now, but I didn't fucking... I'm just doing what I've always done. I'm doing the best I can. White Sox, 2 more runs, 3-0. Top of the first. I've always done the best I could. Always. According to what I knew. And I'm pretty sure that's what everybody's doing. Nationals have the bases loaded. Like, even people who are assholes, or who seem like assholes in your experience, like, are they really, do you think they're really not doing the best they can? Do you think they're woke up and I'll just be an asshole today? And even if they do, where are those thoughts coming from? By the end of this video, White Sox scored again, 4-0. I'm gonna be back to I'm not gonna be back to anything, because I know that this works. But I also know that I can only Nationals just scored 1-1. I can only reach people, or the only people who are going to hear this are the people who are ready to hear it. That's the bottom line. You can't force anything on anybody. But I know from my identity that this is going to be huge, because I'm inspired to do it, and I know how this works now. And this is gold for whoever finds this, but the only people who are going to find this are the people who are ready to find it, who fucking God wants to find it at this moment. And you're only going to find it in accordance with me kind of quote unquote earning it by not reacting to the same shit I used to react to. Do you see how much, like, when we're talking about infinite intelligence, next up. That's what I was really trying to say in yesterday's video. If you get here and you hear this, it's as easy and as simple as claiming whatever you want to be and then getting the fuck out of the way. Letting go. And letting go involves, what I was just talking about. There are instances that come up like that, like last night on the drive home and this morning. That's also letting go. You're letting go of the old version of you. And sometimes the easiest way to do that is to ask yourself that question: what would the old version do right now when those moments come up? But sometimes you're not going to be able to ask yourself that question, so it's just easier just to let go. And then the answers will come to you, especially if you just keep reminding yourself, I claimed it. And that's all I have to do. The work's done. I already claimed it. I claim that I'm the best fucking sports bettor on this planet. My work's done. Now I turn into a receiver. And I don't have to claim it again. Unless I do something in opposition to what I claimed. Because then I become the old identity again. Now I'm no longer the identity that I just claimed. So now, until I claim it again, I fall back into that old identity. So unless you fall back into the old identity, you only have to claim it one time and then just get out of the way. Get out of the way. Again, you're seeing what's happening with the sports picks right now. I'm the best fucking sports bettor on this planet. It's just a matter of time until it says that on my resume. It's just a matter of time. All right, set number 3, I believe. That might have been 4, but I'm unsure, so. You know what my motto is on that. If you're unsure, do more. I thought I would be done by 2 o'clock here, but because I have 4 soccer games on the entire day that are left that I'm watching. And 2 of them just started. Probably got 1 more set here and then 4 sets. Probably got another 15, 20 minutes. All right, last one. Feeling good. All right, so bent barbell rows, bent dumbbell rows. Let me go back to week 1. Look at your weights that you did in the second workout. Bent barbell row and bent dumbbell row. And you should be able to increase those weights. In some manner. So I did 135, 165, 185, 185. And I did 35 pounds, 16 reps. Obviously, I'm going to do 35. Well, now I'm going to do 35, 19 reps. Just because of my situation, but on the bent barbell rows, I'm gonna start at 165 and then probably do 2 sets of 185 and then max at 195 or here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 165, 2 sets of 185, and then 205. Leave no doubt, especially since it's the first workout of the week. So, and then later in the week, I'll probably stay there. But so 165 and then 35, 19 reps. 12, 10, 8, 6 on the barbells and dumbbells. You should be doing 12, 10, 8, 6 unless you're in my situation. right. I think I said 19. Double check. Yep, 19. Here we go. Oh, 19 is getting up there. Been kind of a breezy workout up until that point. All right, so Miami and Washington, 1-1, bottom of the fourth. White Sox Twins, White Sox 4-0, top of the second. I think Miami and Washington had the under in that game last night. I think they were 0-0 going into maybe the top of the fifth or top of the sixth. And it wound up going over in the ninth inning. So, normally when that happens, and the two teams are playing again, I would say more times than not, you see that, like, that happen again because it's fresh in their experience. So it's like, normally it involves the bullpens, and you see these bullpen guys, they're like kickers in football. Like, they miss a field goal in football. You wouldn't be surprised if you see him like miss like 4 out of his next 5 over the next couple of weeks. These bullpen guys are the same. Like, they give up a run or two. They normally have a couple more outings like that. So should be good there. All right, 185. 10 reps. And then 19 again. Make sure you put the weights on both sides. did that once before on a bench press. That was not a fun experience. That's better. It's getting me ready for next week. Not even gonna tell you what it is. You might turn off the video and just say, yeah, you know what? I'm done. I didn't expect the rows to be as challenging as they are right now. The barbell rows. And then it's like that's challenging, and then you still have, 19 dumbbell rows to do. At 35 pounds, I mean, it's, 35 pounds, that's, start doing like 19 reps, that's moving a lot of weight there. Especially when you're gunning through them like that too. All right, I'll give it 30 seconds. Yeah, we were out till, that was late last night, man. Didn't get over until I think like 10:15, 10:30. And it's like, close to a half hour drive. So my daughter's 10, she was tired this morning. All right, 185 again, this time 8 reps.
So she told me this morning, she's like, I'm tired. And I said to her, well, you want to be a star. That's what stars do. They sacrifice sleep. I mean, that's only true if you believe it. So, and she knows that, so I'll explain that to her when the time's right. But for now, gets her in the right mindset to get ready for school without a whole lot of back and forth. All right, 2:05, I'm gonna set this up. Last set of the day. Unless you're like me and you are doing hanging leg raises, and you have 5 more sets. Okay, Marlins batting top of the 5th, no change there, and White Sox batting top of the 3rd, no change. Slow start today, but again, as always, if you stuck with it, made it all the way to the end, I'm sure you heard some stuff that at least get you thinking a little bit differently, or maybe feel more enlightened. There's a goal, and I guess I turned the sound off. Chisero just scored an Iskra, 22nd minute. It's perfect timing because I get this last set and I'll be able to check it. All right, here we go. 2:05 for me, 6 reps. And then, of course, the dumbbell rows. Remember this. Actually, leave the gloves on. Anyone can show up when they feel like it. But what will separate you from the rest is showing up when you don't feel like it. Because while all those other people are skipping their workouts, skipping their challenges, pushing through on their commitments, you're saying, my feelings don't matter. I do it anyway because it's what I fucking said I was gonna do. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Day 2.